There was a point not too long ago when I hit a wall. Like, I was thinking those days where you just stare at your screen for 10 hours straight with a whole bunch of tabs open everywhere, notifications popping up like crazy, emails flooding in, and at the end of it all, you realize you got really nothing done. There's no major wins, there's no meaningful progress, just a vague sense of exhaustion and irritation. That night when I was laying in bed, like wide awake, wired, and tired at the same time, my mind was racing with all the things I didn't finish. I was stuck in this endless loop. Do more, work harder, prove that you're good enough. It hit me like a gut punch. This isn't what I signed up for. I didn't start my own projects to build another hamster wheel. Like, I wanted freedom, impact, a life that actually felt mine. And yet there I was, busier than ever, but emptier than ever too. How I started breaking away from this busy addiction, well, the first thing that I had to do was admit something hard. I was addicted to actually feeling busy. Like, not because it was productive, but because it made me feel safe. You're constantly busy. You never really have to face the hard questions. Like, is what I'm building actually working? Am I living the life I want? What if I'm wasting my time? Busyness covers up all that scary stuff. It's like white noise for your soul. So step one for me was brutal but simple. I had to start sitting still. No multitasking, no endless checklists, no hiding. Just me, a notebook, and a brutally honest question: what actually matters? And what actually matters? It's way less than you think. So when I forced myself to answer this question, here's what I realized. I wanted to build something that helped people and gave me freedom. I wanted to have the energy left over at the end of the day for my family and my friends. And I wanted to wake up actually excited, not dreading this endless task list. What's not on this list? Checking 100 emails a day, perfecting my color palette for the 17th time, posting 5 times a day on LinkedIn just to stay top of mind. You know, all that stuff made me feel busy, but didn't actually move me closer to my real goals. I started ruthlessly cutting. If you want to escape that busy trap, you actually have to become a little ruthless, and in a good way. So here's the simple rule I started following every day. If it doesn't directly move me towards my real goal, it gets cut. It sounds easy, right? But in practice, it's really brutal. Like spending 3 hours optimizing a blog post that only 10 people are going to read, or applying to every low priority email because you don't want to seem rude. You know, when I was working on Blakebill, I used to spend way too much worrying about the things like how the logo looked when you shrunk it down like 32 by 32 for a browser tab. I mean, come on, not a single user has ever emailed me saying, hey man, I was going to pay you, but your favicon wasn't optimized. Meanwhile, what did users actually care about? Was the payment process smooth? Could they trust the platform? They wanted to know if their clients would actually pay without a bunch of friction. And that was it. When I got crystal clear on that, things actually started changing and changing fast. You know, one of the most toxic things about this hustle culture is that it treats people like machines. Work harder, move faster, no breaks. You're not a machine, you're a creator. And you need to think, dream, wonder, like explore these weird ideas that you don't have an immediate payoff with. Some of my best ideas for Blakebill didn't come when I was like grinding away at the desk. It was when I was at the gym, or when I was actually like making dinner, like doing things with no agenda, lying in bed like half asleep, letting my mind drift. That space, that emptiness is where real creativity lies. But if you never slow down, you never find it. A busy culture is killing your creativity and probably your soul. So let's be real for a second. This busy culture is toxic as hell. It kills your creativity. It burns you out. It makes you think your worth is tied to your output. It keeps you from building the life you actually want. And worst of all, it's addictive. We wear our burnout like a badge of honor. We swap out stories of pulling all-nighters and brag about how long it's been since we've took a vacation. You know, it's madness. You don't have to live like that. You really don't. So how do we detox from this busy addiction without burning everything down? If you're ready to escape the trap, here's what works for me, and it might actually work for you too. So 1, set hard limits. Pick a work schedule that supports your life and not the other way around. You know, for me, it became non-negotiable. Like, I'm doing 4 to 6 hours of focused work a day, and that's it. After that, I'm done. There's no guilt. I'm not a robot, and neither are you. 2, build white space into your life. So you need room to think. Scheduling blocks of time with no meetings, no tasks, no obligations, like just space. Gotta let that brain breathe. And then 3, focus on the big things one at a time. Every day, I pick one needle mover, 20, not even 5, just one. If I get that one thing done, that day is a big win, no matter what happens. 4, stop worshiping this grind. If someone tries to impress you about how many hours they worked this week, you know, just smile and nod. You're playing a different game. You're building a life, not chasing an illusion. What happened when I stopped being busy? Here's the crazy part. When I stopped being busy all the time, I actually became more productive. Blakebill grew faster. I had more energy for creative products. I had more energy for creative projects. I got better at solving problems because I wasn't always stressed. I reconnected with friends and family that I had been neglecting. Like, I actually started living, not just working, just living. And that's the whole point, isn't it? We don't dream of success so we can spend more time on emails. We dream of success so we can live fuller, richer, freer lives. But that dream doesn't always come from an 80-hour work week. It comes from focus, clarity, and space. It comes from choosing life differently. So you get to choose. At the end of the day, nobody's going to give you the permission to slow down. The world's going to keep screaming at you to hustle harder, grind longer, do more. And you have to choose yourself. You have to decide. Are you building a life you love, or are you just running a faster hamster wheel that you didn't even choose? You're allowed to choose peace. You're allowed to choose freedom. You're allowed to choose a life that actually feels good, not one that just looks impressive from the outside. This is one last story about Blakebill and like why it matters. So when I did launch Blakebill, I thought success meant staying busy 24/7. I thought it meant polishing every pixel and, obsessing over every little detail, working late every night just to make it perfect. And you know what? Nobody cared. Nobody was impressed about how busy I was. The only thing that mattered was the only thing that ever mattered was whether Blakebill made life easier for real people. So when I had focused on that, when I let go of the busy work and leaned into real value, things shifted. Then growth happened and doors opened. Opportunities showed up. Not because I was working more, but because I was finally working right. So this is the final thought. If you take nothing away from this whole ramble, just remember this. Busy is a trap. Focused is free. You don't need to grind yourself into the dust to succeed. You don't need to slow down. Focus on what matters and trust that real work, deep, meaningful work, will carry you where you want to go. And if you ever just forget that, just remember you're not alone. I'm here figuring it out day by day. You got this. Let's all build things together.